What's up, my Shuggies? Ashley here, and in today's video we are going to be talking all about design dilemmas. Whether you're having issues with scale, things being too monochromatic, paint color, or layouts, I'm going to help you fix all of the common design mistakes that we see. So if you're interested in seeing this video, then just keep watching. Alright, you guys, we are going to start out with the first design dilemma, and that is going to be something that I personally have struggled with, and that is scale. Scale and proportion is so important when it comes to furniture in your home, in your space, and it's something that I feel like the more you do, the easier it becomes, but initially can be a little bit difficult. Especially when it comes to searching for furniture that may be a better price. Sometimes the downfall to that is it can be a little bit too small and too undersized for your space. If you have things that are too small and too undersized for your space, then the scale and proportion looks off, therefore making things look a little bit off, and of course not bringing that high-end luxurious feel. I'm going to go through a couple of pictures of this with you, including pictures from my own personal home, so you can see examples from the same exact wall and the same exact space, how I fixed this issue by making sure that my scale and proportion was correct with the tree and the console table that I now have. As you can see, what a big difference this makes, having a more proportionate size tree. This is one I actually DIY'd myself, as well as this console that I found for a really great deal at HomeGoods. I also incorporated, to keep the scale and proportion, since it's a really tall and wide wall with a really long lean canvas, that I vertically leaned on the console to give height and brightness in the room. Another example of this could be something so simple as where and how you hang your curtains. I think a really good standard to have is making sure that you raise them as high as possible, but I would say a few inches below the ceiling. And then the other important piece is when you're hanging them right to left, making sure that you extend them out a little bit further, irregardless of the size of the window. That way you have a nice proportion of height and width in order to give your room a bright and open feel. I also like using the same concept when it comes to carpets underneath the dining room table, especially if you have a nice open floor plan, which is really popular nowadays. So I like to make sure that I have enough room to where I can back the chair out and it's not going to. That's a good, easy indicator for you to know whether or not your area rug is proportionate to the size of your dining room table. Another example I want to talk about is something simple, and that is nightstands in any bedroom. A way to achieve a really nice scale and proportion when it comes to nightstands is getting a really small dresser. Sometimes kids' dressers are a nice 3-drawer size that is going to be more proportionate and suitable for beside a bed. I also think if you're unsure, the best way to see this is to take a picture so you can actually see the proportion of the nightstand next to the bed to see what it looks like. I found some really good affordable pieces of items that weren't necessarily nightstands, but more accent tables at places like HomeGoods, At Home, and Target online. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like, which helps not only keep everything proportionate, but also keeping everything high-end and elevated looking inside the home. Again, I will show you the before and after of how much better and more suitable this proportion looks. This is a great way to utilize a really inexpensive piece to not only look more proportionate, but also serve as a decor piece, because this one in particular has open shelving, so you could use it for storage and decor, and it creates a much more proportionate nightstand for this guest bedroom. Another easy solution to solve when it comes to proportions are faux trees. This is something that can be super expensive, so if you find a really good deal on one, but you find the proportion isn't quite correct in your room, an easy way to solve this is by getting a much larger planter, putting some sort of a box or book underneath it, and elevate the tree to give it some height, and then fill it in with your choice of moss. And just like that, you now have a really proportionate tree in your room that's going to make everything look light, bright, and high-end. Next, we are talking all about monochromatic, and this is something that I personally love. Now, the great part about this is, of course, if you love it, that's all that matters. But if you're looking for a good way to fix this because you feel like it's not just right, an easy way to do do this is by incorporating a lot of texture and tones. So for example, if you're looking to create a monochromatic look in a room of really light colors, like a neutral beige color, then the best way to help it not look completely monochromatic is to break it up by incorporating different tones of beige, whether it's more white or more brown, and then of course lots of texture. This can be done through curtains. This can also be done through incorporating a Roman shade with a nice woven texture to it underneath the curtain, so you have a really nice texture and layering effect going on. This can also of course be done with accents like throw pillows and blankets, as well as other textural elements like seagrass baskets in the corner. Another great way to incorporate lots of texture but keeping the same tone of color would be through a really nice area rug. Even if you have carpet in the room, a really great way to help everything look cohesive is to get an area rug that's going to be really similar in size to the room. That way it covers almost the entire room and your eye is going to go straight to the rug instead of what's underneath it. If you're not into canvases or pictures or artwork, you could always incorporate a mirror. That of course will bring lots of light to the room because it's going to reflect. And again, for that textural element and added tone, you could also get a different finish on the outside of the mirror. Something else that's super popular that you can DIY yourself is by adding a fluted wood accent to the drawers or even a rattan insert. This is going to bring a ton of texture and dimension to your furniture. Another way to break up a room that might feel a little bit too monochromatic is by changing the finishes, whether it's the hardware, the legs, the lighting, or the frame of the mirror, and even the curtain rod. Changing these finishes to something like black or gold might bring a little bit more light and a lot more dimension and texture to a monochromatic space. Next, we're talking all about paint color. This is really an amazing, cost-effective way to change the entire look of a room. Of course, if you're looking for that light and bright color, my favorite color that I've used all over my home is Agreeable Gray by Sherwin-Williams. That's probably the most popular question I've received, and it's a really nice neutral color that I feel like goes with any tone of wood, any aesthetic, any style, any color combination you can think of. It really is a neutral gray tone that's not going to be too cool or too warm. It pairs well with white, and it also pairs well with dark vampy colors. So if you're looking for something super neutral and down the middle that's going to match every style, then I would definitely go with Agreeable Gray by Sherwin-Williams. Of course, if you wanted to do an accent wall, the color of 2022 has been none other than green. There are so many beautiful shades of green, especially a sage green that looks beautiful in a kitchen or accents, whether it's cups, dishes, or kitchen island. If you're looking for a classic color but so many different shades of black, one of my favorites is Tricorn Black. I of course will link all of these colors in the description box down below for you guys, but it has a really nice finish to it, and I think it is a universal classic black color that's not going to look too gray. And if you're looking for a really great white color, I would definitely go with Benjamin Moore Chantilly Lace. This is going to be a really nice light neutral white color that's not going to be too yellow and is going to soften everything and make everything look nice, light, and bright. And if you're looking for a white paint color that's got a little bit more of a gray tone to it, then I would go with Benjamin Moore's White Dove. As far as Sherwin-Williams, pure white is going to be a nice neutral color. It's going to have a hint of gray, but it's going to be a neutral white color that will match anything. The next design dilemma we're going to talk about is my favorite, and that is the layout. There are so many different layouts, so whatever your layout is in your space, I'm going to go through a couple of my favorites to show you what I would do in this situation in order to place things so that they look scaled and proportionate as well as balanced inside of a room. The best way to do this is with furniture. Placement of furniture is key in this situation to make sure everything in the room is completely balanced on both sides. Now we're going to start off with the living room. The most important part, of course, is going to be centered around if you have a TV in your living room, which in most cases people do. If it's a formal living room and you don't have anything, then you want to find a fireplace or a focal point for you to put all of your furniture around. Now, if we're working with a living room with a fireplace or a TV of some sort, then of course you're going to make all of your furniture around that focal point. And in order to do this the best way, you want to make sure that you have lots of balance. So in my case, in my home, we have a really open space with a fireplace and a TV that we've centered the couch around. If you don't want a really massive couch that goes all the way with chases on both sides, of course you can get a smaller couch, and then on both sides of that. Instead of having the chases, you could replace that with chairs, accent tables, or another smaller couch. All in all, you're getting the same outcome by having everything focused on the focal point, which in this case is the TV. Now, as you can see in this picture, if we were to take out the accent chairs, that would leave everything off balance and it just wouldn't look right. So again, when it comes to scale, proportion, and balance, make sure that you're taking pictures and reviewing them, because that always helps your eye go to the focal point and helps naturally help you balance what's off in the room. Next up, we are going to talk about the layout of a guest bedroom or an extra bedroom. I'm going to show you mine for this example because, as you can see, the window is a little bit off-centered and on an outside wall. So if you're not sure where to place the bed, I can show you exactly what that would look like with the bed placed on the wrong wall. And as you can see, that wouldn't look correct. So all we're going to do is flip the bed around, put it in the middle of the other wall, so when you walk in, you're directly looking at the bed, and this brings everything so much more balanced and so much more open that it actually makes the room also appear bigger. Now, in order to balance both sides, because the room wasn't absolutely massive, I wanted to not put two nightstands, so I put a nightstand on one end and then a faux tree on the other. I also incorporated a really slim console underneath the TV that gave a little bit more proportion to that area, and then completed it by putting a really small accent table and a mirror on top, so this can be a functional space utilized for putting makeup on, a desk, writing, reading, anything you wish. I'm also going to show you another example of a living room that is a little bit more long and narrow. These spaces can be a little bit confusing because you're not sure how to lay them out, but in this case, you really want to make sure everything's balanced. So we shifted the couch a little bit to the left, and then to balance the right side, we incorporated an oversized chair, picture, and table to make everything cohesive and come together. So when laying out furniture and looking at a room, make sure that you're also planning for easy access to seats. You don't want to block these entrances again by putting something too far against the wall or too far forward so someone can't walk around and take a seat on a couch or an accent chair. This not only will give you space and access to sit down, but it will also make the conversation flow easier because you'll have easier access when talking and facing one another. If you decide to not go with a sectional, then definitely make sure that your couches are angled either at 90 degrees or facing one another. This will of course give you that same illusion by using multiple pieces of furniture. The next tip is going to be an area rug that is appropriately sized according to the layout of your room. Now, in my case, I have a really massive oversized couch, so in order to accommodate this, I actually layered two different rugs, the underneath one being a little bit larger and almost the exact size of the couch, and then the one on top of that, of course, is a little bit smaller and undersized, but more of an accent to the one that's underneath. This is a really great, affordable way to create lots of texture and dimension and save money because you don't have to spend a ton on an oversized area rug. The next tip is to not use too many or too few pieces of furniture. You don't want to use too few so that the room looks massive and empty, and of course you don't want to use too much because then it can look heavy and cluttered. My next tip is to add lots of lighting, whether this is done with accent lighting like a lamp or lighting strips around the TV, puck lights in a cabinet, or a chandelier overhead. Lighting can change the mood of the room as well as bring a nice accent and character to the room through decor. All right, you guys, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I will leave all of the information in the description box down below. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that post notification bell so you guys can be notified every time I upload new videos. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.